Welcome to the Digital Dreamer of the Gridiron podcast. I'm your host, Asif Ali. I'm joined today by today's guest, Jordan Barton. Jordan, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Asif, how you doing?
Doing good, bro. Man, the Lakers, man, we won yesterday, so I'm rocking the gear. Obviously you got busties out just because, it makes me feel like a winner, even though Lakers are kind of sneaking up this year. Otherwise, I know we were supposed to do the interview a few days ago, but I just got kind of pulled into different things. I had my own interview I had to kind of do, and I also had to, kind of schedule some other guests. So, but now we finally made it happen. So, yeah, man. So, talk to me about how's New Year's and how's the New Year been for you so
far? New Year's has been good. I'm excited to get out to Wyoming and try and help bring a championship to Gillette. Excited to go meet my teammates. I just started getting into Web3 as well, so I'm dropping my own NFT collection here pretty soon on the Solana blockchain. So it's been a good year for me so far.
I'll check it out. Investments. Cool. I love it. So yeah, we'll get into the kind of stuff you're doing off the gridiron, but now we're going to have to start off with the topic of this interview, which is your life on the gridiron. So let's start for the early years. Was football your first love, or how did you get into football?
Football was not my first love, actually. I was a basketball player. Actually, scratch that. I would say sports in general was my love from age 3 and up. But basketball is what I naturally gravitated towards. So, I played AAU basketball with my cousins and stuff. And, always liked to compete. And then I would say around 9th grade, I gave up the basketball, picked up the football, and then it's kind of all been history from there.
Pretty much, right? Cool. So 9th grade. So around high school is pretty much when you started playing. So kind of what did those other sports kind of help? Again, what skills are transferable from the other sports you played from your youth all the way through kind of the 9th grade that were immediately transferable to football? Would you say?
Yeah. So, I tell all the kids I train the same thing. I mean, whenever you're a young age, you want to play as many sports as possible because it definitely builds up your foundation in terms of athleticism, really across all sports. So for football, for me, I feel like basketball helps with my lateral quickness, my vertical, my reaction, things of that nature. Baseball I played too, that helped with my eye-hand coordination. Track helped me with my speed. So, every sport is viable and useful in its own regard, regardless of the sport that you end up pursuing as your, stable sport.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think now that's a perfect time to segue. So let's start off with the high school career. What was your immediate position that you started out, and kind of how did you progress or evolve from freshman to senior year?
Yeah, so I started off in Clear Lake High School in Houston. Started off playing DB. I liked the position. But even from a young age, when I was introduced to football, it was always catching the ball and running routes and that thing. So receiver was always my love. Ended up playing freshman year, DB on the freshman team. I was going to go to varsity my sophomore year, but Coach A. Duddle had ended up going to another school, Baytown Sterling. So that same year, I ended up going to a private school, Lutheran South Academy. And, it was really rough over there to start off. They, hadn't had a winning season in quite a while, hadn't made it to playoffs in like 20 years, ran a triple option offense, which is, not conducive to what I was trying to do as a receiver. So really didn't pop off until my junior year. They switched the offense. And then senior year, I really just, excelled. They gave me the opportunity to kind of be the go-to guy, which is what I always wanted, and I ran with it. My senior year, I was going into it. I was Touchdown Club of Houston preseason team. After the year, I was first team All-State, first team All-District, NUC All-American. That's the same All-American game as Johnny Manziel played in, Marcus Mariota. Ended up, playing with some good talent up there. One of which was Chris Frey. He went on to Michigan State, played in the CFL for a bit, but I remember, saucing him up a little bit on a bubble route in the game. So I always remember that. But yeah, so that's kind of the story of my high school. Again, like I tell all my clients that I train, make sure everything is right off the field, because you don't want that to hinder what you can do on the field. As a high school student, it wasn't that I wasn't capable. It wasn't that I wasn't smart. I just wasn't, invested in what I was learning. It was like, all the stuff, calculus and all this stuff. And it's just like, for me, I always knew I wanted to play football. I wasn't exactly too sure what I wanted to do after that, but I knew it didn't involve a lot of the stuff that I was being taught for 8 hours a day in school. So I had a couple D1 schools come to look at me, Liberty University, Southeast Louisiana, but I wasn't a D1 qualifier. My, GPA was like 2.3 at the time, and my ACT wasn't to match. So ended up signing to A&M Kingsville out of high school. Was there. I don't know if you've ever been to South Texas. There ain't, much out there. It's pretty dry. It's kind of like a desert. So,
Yeah.
Coach Callaway wanted me and one other player to play as freshmen. But, I said, this isn't really going to be my, home for college. So I went ahead and requested my red shirt, got my release after the end of the semester, went on a couple of recruiting trips to some California JUCOs, and ended up getting reached out by Coach Oz, who was just with the University of Tennessee, but he was the head coach at Nassau Community College. Went out there, and I mean, I knew nothing about New York football. And, Nassau Community College, proud to represent, they have a historical tradition. The class of 2015, my first year there, of 22 starters, I think about 13 of them went D1, not including the other handful that went D2. So probably the best team I ever played on, learned a lot of things. And from there, I played there one more year, went to Western Colorado, played there for 2 years, and now I'm on this, professional indoor journey.
From your college career, it sounds like there were a lot of kind of turns that you had to take. Actually, let me take a step back and talk about what you just mentioned about your high school career, because I think that's crucial. For me too, my high school career, like my first couple of years, my GPA, like I think I had a 0.5 my freshman year and a 1.0 my sophomore year. So I mean, so that's why I was academically eligible to play football, throughout high school. So that it was what it was, right? So I basically my coach told me my best shots go to JUCO, and that's what I did. I went to JUCO, took and then for by the grace of God, it basically ended up to materialize into the indoor football career, which you're also on now, right? Yeah. So kind of to that point, obviously, like you said, it's not about intelligence. It's not about, like you said, it's just what are you investing in? And you kind of talked about what you're investing right now, right? But I mean, ultimately, it's just like as athletes, and listening to this, you really have to take that time and think about it. Like when you think about the D1 qualifiers, right? There's so much talent that I can, and I'm sure you're obviously a prime example that I played with, that you were obviously at one point that could have straight gone to D1, but because of the grades and because of the lack of investment, it's just like, man, like it's like it sucks. It really does, But I mean, obviously, but it's a learning lesson. It's a life experience, and it's something that you can build on. So
yeah. And what's crazy now is I'm hearing that a lot of these kids, don't have to take the ACT anymore and stuff like that. And, they got the transfer portal, so they're living the life these days, really.
Yeah, it's easier now, man. I mean, and it's like, and I'm not trying to sound like an old head or anything like that, but it's just like, I wish that, that the SAT and the ACT and the GPA requirement, the transfer, like I wish all that shit was like there. Like 10 plus years ago. But anyways,
IL and all that, it would have been fantastic.
Would have been great. But obviously, with your college career, it sounds like you took a lot of turns, right? There are a lot of twists and turns. First, talk to me about your first couple of years. Kind of what was that experience like? Obviously, like I mean, did you have any memorable moments from that first university? And then when you transferred, kind of what was that experience like, right? Because I mean, there must have been reasons for your reasons, your motivation to transfer. Kind of so talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So as far as Kingsville goes, one memorable moment I did have was before they kind of took away the two-a-days in NCAA. This was kind of like the last year they had them. DeAndre, my receiver homie, we're freshmen. It's about 105 degrees, maybe 115 on the turf. It's our second practice, and DeAndre is just hurling like nonstop. And I'm looking at him and I'm just like, bro, you got to get with it, bro. This is college football. It ain't high school. Like, you got to come in shape and all that. So that really kind of put me on a path to know what to expect and always come into camp ready. As far as, the reasons for me leaving Kingsville, whenever I was getting recruited by Coach Griff. He is now the running backs coach out at UTSA. Which shout out to them. They had a fantastic season this year. But he was going to be my receivers coach, and they ended up, switching him to a different side of the ball. I didn't really have any relation with him. They brought in another guy who, I'm not going to say we butted heads, but we didn't, have that relationship that I had developed with Coach Griff on our recruiting trips. And then again, just the quarterback play there at the time wasn't that great. So I didn't feel like it was going to be my future home. I wanted to explore some other options. So again, like I said, I went out, did some recruiting visits to some Cali JUCOs, American River, Santa Barbara, which has a beautiful stadium, by the way. And then while I was out there, Coach Oz from Nassau had reached out to me and told me before I make any decisions to come out there and, take a trip. And, I show up there with my mom, and we go to the coach's office, and they got, 4 big time college football coaches in there. I think it was like University of Tennessee, Wisconsin, like a Pac-10 school, and then like a 1AA school. And, he sat down and, basically said he ain't about no BS. He's trying to win games, and I'm trying to win games. So, it was a no-brainer for me. I committed there immediately. We were a top 5 program there at the time. Good memory from there was we drove 27 hours on a bus to go play Trinity Valley Community College for the Battle of the Valley or something. They were number 2, we were number 5. Ended up beating by like 17 points that game, come back in the 4th quarter. So, that's definitely a highlight of my career. And then I ended up going to, Western Colorado for 2 years after that. And, again, great experience at Nassau, not so much of a great experience at Western. It just, the program that they had, I was around 5 different head coaches in 5 years. So, I kind of saw what worked. I kind of saw what didn't. I saw, what coaches did to win, what coaches did to lose. And, the head coach over at Western is a great guy, but, he has well below 500 winning record in about 10 years or so. So I just wasn't, I wasn't fully invested, I guess you could say. And, that's partly my fault. But again, I'm the type of athlete, the type of player who I'm always trying to get to the next level, to the higher level. So with that being said, I want coaches who have been there and done that. Coach Oz, been there, done that. Coach Baines, 42 and 82 as a record over, 10 years isn't telling me that you've been there and done that. So, that happened, kind of got passed around in the depth chart a little bit my junior year, butted heads a little bit because, again, they said I was the best receiver on the team, but I just wasn't like bought into their idea of the program. So they didn't put me in a position to excel. So I got in here and there as a junior whenever, there was nobody else they could put in, and I did my thing. I think I played in like 4 games. I came out with like 300 yards and, a couple catches. So fast forward senior year, kind of the same situation. I didn't end up starting to like the 3rd game when someone got hurt. And I ended up being the leading receiver in terms of touchdowns, yards, and all that stuff. So the thing at Western was they were a run-first offense. They maybe passed the ball, 8 times a game. And they wanted me to be basically a extension of the O-line and just block every play, which as a receiver, I love blocking. I love imposing my will on the defensive back. But to that same notion, I do like to be rewarded for my hard work. And if I'm going to block for 3 quarters a game and get 2 balls a game, like, just show me a little bit more love. I'm getting open for you, coach. Like, let me make a play for you. But so yeah, that happened. And then I was, a free agent for a little over 6 months, waiting for my first professional opportunity. And then I ended up getting an opportunity in the CIF with the West Texas Warbirds at the time. But as we all know, 2020 COVID season, that shut down. And then I played for the San Antonio Valor, which is a crazy story in itself. I don't know if you heard about what happened out there. And then I go on to play for Frisco, the Frisco Fighters in the IFL I was with their team for about 2 weeks, ended up getting cut, and then now I'm signed to Wyoming, and I'm heading out there in a few days.
Now we have to take a step back again, because now we have to rewind to how you got to the pro scene, right? So pretty much after your senior year of college, what did you have a pro day? Did you get invited to the combine? And how did you get in contact with West Texas Warbirds?
So again, the relationship between me and the coaching staff over at Western wasn't the greatest. Me and a couple of other seniors, some of which who were JUCO, they honestly at Western, they were pretty disrespectful towards JUCO players and players who they kind of deemed weren't their favorites. I'm not going to go into that, but quite a few of us didn't get a pro day opportunity. So I remember sitting, in our house, me and, my buddy Jacob Benegas, who played at New Mexico State, played with me over at Western junior and senior year, waiting and thinking, like, what are we going to do next? And at the time we graduated in May, so we were kind of late on the cusp. The indoor season starts, late February, early March. So, we missed the 2019 and, we just kind of kept on grinding and, staying ready. So we ain't got to get ready. End up getting a call from, Gabriel Martinez over at West Texas. He, says he likes my film, gives me the opportunity. So I go out there, end up making the final roster. And then Coach Coleman, who was a former Dallas Cowboys DB, our head coach at the time, said basically, you ain't got to get out of town, but you got to get the hell out of here. Like, we not having a season right now. Like, go do what you got to do. So I actually stayed down there for about a good 2 weeks after that announcement with Coach Brandon Cisse, who just won a National Arena League title with the Albany Empire. He was coaching for us at the time, and about 3 or 4 other players just grinding 2 times a day, 5 days a week. Season never ended up happening, but come the next season, I re-signed to West Texas. There was some discrepancy, I guess, between Coach B and the ownership there. Something to do with, he had brought a family member with him due to a situation and they weren't feeling it, so they let him go. So, me and Coach B had a great relationship over that summer. So I said, all right, whatever, I'm following you. So we go over to the Valor, who, I guess I can get into the story. I don't know if you're familiar with John Cardonis.
No.
Yeah, so I guess he, was a big time scammer. He was running some like high school camp scams and things like that. But he was an Arena League player as well. He played for like the Corpus Christi Rage and things like that. He was the owner at the time. And, we were playing for the Valor, and I think we were playing Amarillo our second game. And it was, rough after the game. We lost, and Cardona said something that really hit me, and I was like, what? And he said, this has been the best day of my life, recent time. And I was like, we just lost by like 27 points. How has it been the best day of your life? So, it didn't take too long for things to unfold. So within, a week, we're supposed to go play the Idaho Horsemen, travel up there on a bus. Whole big situation. I won't get into it, but basically John got charged with, a felonious charge. It was theft of service greater than $30,000. So it's that charge plus like another 8. So he got charged for 10 years on the one charge plus another 8 he's carrying. So he's in Bexar County Jail right now for a good portion of time. But before I go on to anything else, I mean, I'm sure as well, that's one of the negatives about the indoor game. It's teams are here for a couple years and then they fold. The ownership is always, it's either a great organization or a very shoddy organization. And I felt like, I got that experience early on in my career. So, now I go to the next team more so knowing what questions to ask and things like that. But yeah, that was definitely a wake-up call to me. But anyways, I ended up going out to Frisco for 2 weeks. I was running scout team with the Last Chance U quarterback Malik Henry. Great arm, very talented kid. Felt like I was doing well. Quincy Carter, former Dallas Cowboys quarterback, he had actually got me that opportunity. And the receivers coach was, singing my praises to him. So I was expecting to get signed, but A day before they said they were going to sign me, they ended up bringing 2 XFL guys in, ended up giving them the job instead. So, I'm still grinding, doing my thing. I know the opportunity is going to come for me and what it is. I'm going to do what I've always done and be ready and, seize it by the horns. So.
That's all she wrote,
Yeah.
And so, obviously, kind of with that, I think one of the things that I took away from my playing career, and I mean, I did have a pretty long playing career, as you can tell. So, I mean, one of the things is that, like you said about the lack of organization and the fact that teams fold and the fact like what you've gone through, your story is similar to mine because I got cut twice before I finally got signed, And obviously with that, it helped me realize nothing is permanent. And that's what I said on my interview on the Air podcast. Indoor football, like we all know, I mean, things can come, things can go. You might be able to get a great opportunity to get moved up to the NAL, what used to be the AFL, right? And then take that to get to CFL or XFL, right? And then CFL, whatever, or USFL. But essentially, you just have to understand that, these things are it's really just kind of a snapshot in time, and you have to really take it like that. So what you talked about when we started about investments, that's so critical. I think it's so critical for everyone to understand that. You were mentioning the NFTs, you were mentioning the blockchain investments. Talk to me a little bit more about that, kind of what got you into investing and what made you decide on those specific investments?
Yeah, so, I got my bachelor's degree in political science and history. So with that, I always say it was a blessing and a curse. I've become more informed, but with that information, I've also become more weary of government. I'm apolitical. I don't align with the right or the left. I try and seek the truth in anything, no matter how uncomfortable it may make me feel. And I feel like that is not the norm. So with that being said, I took a politics and the environment course in my undergrad. My professor was speaking on the state of pollinators, but specifically bees. And, that just kind of resonated with me and always stayed there. As I was in Colorado, I went on, numerous mountain hikes and always enjoying the flora and the fauna out there. So, fast forward, I get my degree, 2020 or so when COVID hit, I started getting into crypto. And then just this last September or so, I started getting into NFTs. And I always had the bees in my mind. So I was like, how can I combine charitable works with, the transparency of the blockchain and, some creative artwork and NFTs. And, I reached out to, because our team is developed or comprised of mostly former collegiate athletes. So I reached out to one of my old teammates. He had an 18-year-old cousin who's an artist, reached out to him, saw if he wanted to explore his creative side while also, trying to do some good for the world. And he was all about it. And we just kind of, took it head off and been doing it ever since. For me, though, the reason I chose crypto and NFTs is the thing that I have realized is, again, once you graduate, I mean, you're really selling a portion of your time for a certain amount of money on what someone else dictates your worth. And again, me getting that political science degree, I'm a very autonomous person. I believe in, getting it by my own means, no matter how hard. I would just rather make myself more rich or broke than trying to do it for somebody else. So with that being said, we're dropping this NFT collection. It's 8,000 bees. We believe in NFTs as a means to provide charitable contributions while also providing utility benefits to the holders. So we're allocating 20% of all proceeds from mint, secondary, and merchandise to a community wallet for bee sanctuary, bee education, and other bee-based charities. And then we have some pretty cool utilities for our whitelisters. We have Hive sponsoring, so we're going to periodically ship out raw, natural, organic honey to our whitelisters. Since, right now in the market, it's a lot of fake and impure honey being sold as real. Exclusive merchandise. We have a play to earn blockchain game coming out. We're hosting a bee sanctuary trip for one holder and their family as a means for rest and relaxation, but also bee education. We have some good giveaways on our website on a roadmap, www.needsbees.io. So anybody who's interested in it, give it a look. We're on the Solana blockchain. It's a carbon neutral blockchain. It doesn't, harm the environment like Bitcoin or Ethereum. One transaction on the blockchain is less than 2 Google searches. So low entry point. It's all good things. So, I'd love for anybody who's interested to tap in.
100%. Needsbees.io. And where else can anyone get in contact with you if they were interested about learning more about kind of, both, the crypto as well as kind of anything else you're involved with?
Yeah, so they can follow me on Instagram. I do believe it's Mr. JB_13 as well. I'm on Facebook. I also have a training company, Revolutionary Athletes Affecting Change, RA²C. So y'all can find me on there. Always posting workouts with my clients and stuff. So I'm easily reachable. Also on Twitter, you can find me at King Honeycomb. That's my NFT name. Anybody who reaches out, I'll always talk and connect with them. So
100%. In closing, what are your goals for 2022, both playing and non-playing? And anything else you want to kind of close out this interview with?
So I would say my goals for 2022, while I have been in the CIF, I have not played in the CIF due to COVID. So, I'm really looking to do to my best of my abilities what I can to help bring a championship, like I said, to Gillette. I'm also, trying to do what I can to go and get that Offensive Rookie of the Year nominee. So as far as on the gridiron, that's what I'm trying to do. Off the gridiron, again, I'm trying to, inspire people. I'm trying to be a community organizer. That's why I came up with Needs Bees. I feel like people can definitely get more involved in the community while getting some good, cool benefits from it. After the season, I also want to go ahead and try and get my private pilot's license. I want to be a commercial pilot at some point after my career. So, big things on the horizon. But right now, I'm purely focused on Wyoming and, doing what I can to bring this championship. Get one of the rings you got.
Yes, sir. We're going to see some of these on Jordan's fingers next time he's back on the show, right? Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Wyoming Mustangs, Jordan Barton, folks, JB, Mr. JB_13, needsbees.io. At Honey, what was the Twitter? I forgot the Twitter. I'm sorry. It was
King Honeycomb 1.
King Honey. Okay, King Honeycomb 1. And hey, I know it was great having you on. Great learning about your journey, similar to kind of my journey. Great hearing about everything you're doing on and off the gridiron. Looking forward to a successful season in Wyoming. Looking forward to seeing you, ball out, and hopefully we'll have you back on, with a few more of these. And hey, maybe you'll be the next billionaire. I don't know. Shit, sounds like it.
For sure, I love it. I love it. I'll make sure to tap in with you after the season and give you any updates.
100%. All right, Jordan. Thanks for your time, brother. Take care.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. Have a good day.
I got you.